Hey guys, it's Miko from ML Sound Lab, and this is the ultimate Mesa Mark series shootout. I absolutely love the Mark series amplifiers by Mesa Boogie. I without a doubt think that these are the best, not some of the best, these are the best amplifiers for modern high gain guitar. And the reason for that is just the different structure of amplifier that these are. So these have pre-EQ and post-EQ, which is very rare. I don't really know of any other amplifier that does this, but anyways, you have a graphic equalizer that is post-gain, and then the EQ section in front is actually before the gain stages, meaning that you can have very crazy settings as I have here, where I have the bass essentially on 0 on all of these things on the preamp, and then boosting the lows with the graphic EQ, giving you a super tight guitar tone. I have two Mark IVs. These are actually new, but this is probably the amp that I'm most familiar with, because this is the amp that I used when I used tube amps before going into the modeling game. So this with the older logo is actually the newer one. This is a revision B Mark IV. This is also a Mark IV, but this is a revision A. Then we have the Mark V 25, which is a more modern 25 watt version of a Mark series head. And then we have the Mark V, which you've seen on this channel many times before. Okay, so let's go through some differences between these amplifiers. Let's start with the Mark IVs. So we have the revision B and we have the revision A version here. And these are actually quite similar with each other. There's lots of rumors online about the differences between these. They are very wrong most of the time. I would say that the B is slightly louder, so if I just use the same master volume settings on these two amplifiers, I just need to have it higher on the A revision. The A revision actually has a little bit more gain than the B revision that I have, and also this is kind of darker sounding, while this revision B is brighter sounding. So I actually need to have the presence quite a bit higher on this revision A, while this revision B, I have it lower. And even then, I don't really think I can get this sounding quite as bright as the revision B. And you know, the rumors online say that if the logos are the opposite way, that's the revision marker. Actually, it's more to do with the effects loop, and you can see from the behind of these amplifiers that this is actually the revision B and this is the revision A. Out of all of these amplifiers, this has the most gain and the lowest noise floor. So even for that reason, I love this maybe slightly the most out of everything that I have here. Least compression, but most gain. Pretty awesome. Now the problem with the Mark IVs is that their mid gain is actually pretty bad. So it does have a nice kind of dynamic clean channel, and it sounds very good. Even with all the settings at 5, I think that's a very beautiful clean sound, but you know, the mid-gain section is very lacking. So I would probably just never use the second channel. I'll probably use the first one for cleans, and I'd love to have a compressor on it if possible. But it's all about that lead channel doing everything. It's one of the best, let's just say it's the best high gain channel on any amplifier that I've ever had, and I've had quite many amplifiers, so that's just my opinion, but I'm always right. This is the Mark V 25. This is the smaller version with some modern features. So this has an inbuilt load box and a DI out, so you can actually use this silently without the real cabinet and use an IR or use the cabinet modeling that's in this. That being said, the Mesa cabinet modeling, the cab clone essentially that's in here, it's not very good, so I never use it. This has way more gain than any of these other amplifiers. These are sort of the settings that match each other, and I have both the middle and bass on 0 on this one. Other than that, they're pretty similar, but the gain is not even 12 o'clock on this, and I'm using the Mark IV setting, so I need to have the gain super low on this one to be similar to these. It gets out of control very easily if you go past that 12 o'clock, but you don't have to. It has a lot of gain this way. It will never have that super low oomph type thing going on that the Mark IV has. It's not really a problem in the mix, but when you're doing these palm mutes and you have a lot of bass going on, that's where you'll definitely hear the difference, that this is not the real thing. I mean, it's just such a cute little amplifier. It's just so tiny, and you know, you can do all sorts of things with it. While these other ones are so big and huge. Now the Mark V is definitely the most versatile amplifier, probably even more versatile than the JP2C, because it has so many options in the second channel and the third channel. That being said, this is much more compressed than the Mark IVs. So even though I can probably get the tonal character close to these amplifiers, it will never kind of be as dynamic, and the noise will be higher, and it'll have a lower gain than these. So it's kind of a different type of animal, but at the same time, this is so versatile that you can make it sound like any amplifier. And I'm not sure if you've seen the video that we have. I actually borrowed a real Mark IIc Plus and compared it with the Mark V, and with some wacky settings I can actually get this sounding identical to the Mark IIc Plus. Very kind of a unique amplifier that I feel kind of has one sound in it. You really don't have a lot of versatility in it. It kind of does one thing, and it does that one thing really well. Kind of a Metallica type of a high gain sound. Doesn't have as much gain as the Mark IVs that we have here, for example, and it kind of doesn't have that low end thumpy thing going on that the Mark IV has, which I love. I personally prefer the Mark IV over the 2C Plus, but you know, it's a legendary amplifier obviously. So this comparison is definitely more just comparing the lead channels of all these amplifiers, just the high gain tone. If you really dive into comparisons between the clean channels and the drive channels and so on forth, the Mark V will just win and eat all of these amplifiers. But that's not really what we're doing here today. I just want to know which of these amplifiers has the best guitar tones right out the box for high gain. If I wanted to, I could tweak these all to sound very similar with each other, but that's kind of not the point here. I wanted to get the best sound out of each of these amplifiers and see how they compare in the mix. Now, you've heard them in the mix in the beginning of this video, but let's just kind of separate just the guitar tracks from that comparison, and you'll kind of hear things better in the mix. Many of these things get smeared kind of under the bass and drums. Let's just hear them outside the mix context and compare some of the unique qualities that these amplifiers have. And with that being said, I've been Mikko, and have fun listening to these comparisons. Leave your comments down below what you think and which one you prefer and what is the best amplifier in this comparison. As a bonus feature, I actually included the Mark V with the Mark IIc Plus settings.